Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. I'm excited that you are all here and that I get to share Andrew's journey with you. We've all had our fair share of transitions over the years, everybody has, from a new provider to maybe that one from early intervention into this, whoa, the school system, how dare we? That one's terrible. Andrew is a medically complicated nonverbal child. Those who are lucky enough to be accepted into his world have the most wonderful and loving experience. Through the years, he's had many challenges medically and educationally. To be honest, this transition into adulthood was by far the hardest I've had yet. We've had our fair share of having to get a new provider or a specialist when one has left. Each time you have to retell your story and become a new partner in your child's care. Moving more forward to adulthood with Andrew, we have not had to leave the children's hospital yet, but there's been no discussions about what that's going to look like either. He's now 19 years old. He's now headed for bilateral foot surgery in August down at Boston Children's. And his care team, his complex care team, has decided that they need him to see certain specialists before he can even have that surgery. One of those specialists is his pulmonologist. Well, a very unfortunate thing happened, and his pulmonologist almost 2 years ago passed away unexpectedly. Andrew was put on a wait list because he was stable, was not seen to need any pulmonary care at that time. We have a pulmonary action plan should something come up. And because Andrew's seizures were more of a concern for me at that time and his mobility, it kind of fell off my plate of things to keep track of as well. So some of that is onus onto me, but he did fall through the cracks at his pulmonologist care. So now when I call up to make that appointment that is mandatory before he can have surgery, the lady on the other end of the phone says, oh, well, it looks like he's now 19. I said, yep. And she goes, it looks like I can't talk to you. And I kind of laughed, and I'm like, oh, you most certainly can. You should have in his record the copy of his legal guardianship, which names me as his guardian. And I said, and you can most certainly talk to him if you'd like, but he's nonverbal, so good luck with that. And the lady just kind of was like, okay, I'm not sure what to do with you then. And I said, well, we need care and we need a pulmonologist, so what do you recommend? We recommend you start all over. You need a brand new referral to somebody new on the adult side of things. Okay, and I said, I need this appointment by August 5th when he meets with the rest of the respiratory team down at Children's, to which they said, kind of without really saying it, good luck with that. He has gotten that appointment and we are proceeding with that, but this struggle is something that every time he encounters somebody new within the medical world, I have to remind them that I do have guardianship paper and I shouldn't have to tell them where to look in that chart for that information. More of the struggles as the transition into the adulthood, as nobody tells you about, is additional paperwork that you're going to have to complete. It's not just the guardianship paperwork. They don't talk about the programs that you need to apply for and the very specific timing of your applying. You cannot apply before they're 18. You have to wait till they're 18 in one day before you apply for a lot of this stuff. I have printed off over 2,000 pages of his medical record. I took it to the Department of Health and Human Services and I dropped it off to them, where I could then ask them for a signed receipt of dropping off that 2,000 pages, because I'm pretty sure my employer wouldn't be happy if I did that again. He had applied for the aid to the permanently and totally disabled program, and then I had to do the same thing again when we applied for SSI. When I tell this to my friends and my family, they say, you know, nobody's actually going to read that, right? Like, it's just going to sit somewhere. And I say that is why when I dropped off those paperworks, I put the most important 20 pages on the top. His diagnosis, his list of medications, his list of surgeries, and his list of current problem list. Maybe they never read it, maybe they shredded it, I really couldn't tell you. A lot of people had told us that we should have hired a lawyer for this process. That is not the case for us. It was not a financial option for us. When you're filling out this paperwork and you're doing your interviews with these people, they don't want to hear about Andrew's successes. They don't want to hear about how I was told he would never walk, yet he walked when he was 3, after Theratogs, a stander, a walker, all the stuff you guys are already doing. They don't want to hear about that. They want to basically hear how if you weren't here to care for them, they would end up in what is called a pediatric nursing home by most people. They want to hear the worst case scenario. But you know what? I'm one of those moms. I don't take no for an answer. Like all of you, you continue to fight, and that is what is important. Then comes the horrible part, the length of time it takes for them to decide on an approval or a denial. You're sitting here waiting. And everybody, of course, wants their own phone interview or, Zoom interview where they're going to ask you the same exact questions. For 19 years, I've been as in control of Andrew's life as I feel like I could have been. Now I feel like I'm in the worst control I've ever been because I feel like everything pertains to, or they're always looking to him to answer a question, and he sits there totally nonverbal. I feel unorganized and unprepared because I feel like I don't know where I'm headed next. Though in reality, I'm doing the best that I can to navigate a new journey that I know nothing about. Since Andrew had turned 18, I've heard very little from his medical team about this new transition. What does this mean for him? Is there an unfair assumption that I must know what I'm doing because I've been doing it so well for the past so many years? And oh, you're a nurse, so you definitely know what this process looks like. The missing pieces I have on this roller coaster of a transition are the many unanswered questions from his medical team. Is it assumed that a discussion is initiated by the parent? Will he need to change the dose of his rescue medication now that he's 18, or is it still somewhat weight-based because he's very small for his age? Are we going to have to go and see new specialists? Are there going to be different specialists that they think we don't need anymore? Nobody seems to have any of the answers to these questions, not even the complex care team at this time. I know that some of his specialists have mentioned that they may keep him into his early 20s. Well, what is the plan after that? I'm a planner. I need to know where we're going next. I need to know, are all of his records going to be passed on to that new provider, or am I responsible for passing all of that on because heaven forbid they miss something? Are any of these current specialists that he sees at Boston Children's also co-treat at another hospital like Mass General? None of these questions are being answered. They were great at enforcing guardianship, and that is where it stopped. So I just hope that you all enjoy the speakers today and come and ask any questions you might have.